This is Christopher John Bjerknes. It is July 24th, 2023. We are witnessing the meteoric rise of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s presidential campaign. He is being heavily promoted by alt media. A lot of the people who promote him were staunch supporters of Trump and of the January 6th insurrection. Why is Kennedy receiving so much positive press in the alt media? And what are his connections to Chabad, Lubavitch, and Rebbe Menachem Mendel Schneerson, who is thought to have been, by many Chabadniks, Messiah, son of David, the King of the Jews? I discovered that Mr. Kennedy's ties go back to his father. His father was intimately connected to the Rebbe and to Chabad Lubavitch. I think it is incredibly important to point out these connections, given that Putin's rabbi, Berel Lazar, is also a Chabad Lubavitch rabbi, that Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump are Chabadniks who honored the Rebbe's grave when Ivanka's father ran for president both times. And Benjamin Netanyahu was very close to the Rebbe and is now Prime Minister of Israel. So we have these world leaders all very, very closely tied to Chabad Lubavitch and to the memory of Messiah, son of David, Rebbe Menachem Mendel Schneerson. I believe that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been chosen to be anointed as Messiah, son of Joseph, who is referred to in Christianity as the Antichrist and in Islam as El Dajjal. I'm going to show some of the history behind the Kennedys' connections to Chabad Lubavitch, and I want to stress the fact that Chabad Lubavitch is a messianic religious cult which is wielding grossly disproportionate influence on the politics of the world in America, Russia, Israel, and beyond, and has positioned its handlers directly on the reins of power in America, Russia, and Israel. In Russia, through Berel Lazar, who is Putin's rabbi. In America, through Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump and their connections to Chabad and to former President Trump. And now to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., whose handler is Rabbi Shmuley Botek, I believe is how he pronounces his name. So let's take a look at this history, this fascinating history between the Kennedys and the Rebbe. Robert F. Kennedy Sr., Bobby Kennedy's daddy, who was assassinated, wore a yarmulke when he met the Rebbe. And Chabad takes great pride in this. So these connections go back all the way to 1964, when the two met. Bobby Kennedy visited the Rebbe. Rebbe's concern for a widow. Now, this is all very preliminary and kind of a trailer into the exposés I'm going to be posting on Mr. Kennedy and his ties to Chabad and Chabad's influence in Russia, Israel, and America. How that we have descended into chaos around the world, and we have to question what's going on here with this Messianic Chabad Lubavitch cult and our world leaders. So I'm just going to very, very briefly touch upon these connections that I've discovered, and I will be exploring this much more thoroughly in the future. Count on it. The Rebbe and Senator Kennedy. Again, Chabad likes to show off their influence. Shmuley Botek. Wikipedia's page. The Lubavitcher Rebbe became his patron, his being Shmuley Botek, who is now mentoring Mr. Kennedy and ingratiating him to the Jewish community, defending him against charges of anti-Semitism, and holding his hand as he walks his way into the White House. The Lubavitcher Rebbe became his patron, and at age 13, Botek joined the Chabad movement, a Hasidic philosophy that traces back 250 years to Lubavitch, Russia. Now, it's important to note that Chabad Lubavitch always positioned itself as the movement that would anoint Messiah, son of David, and would appoint Messiah, son of Joseph. So this is not something that should be taken lightly. When Chabad Lubavitch gets involved in anointing an American president, we have to look very closely at what's going on. In 1988, Botek was sent at age 22 by Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, known as the Rebbe, as a Chabad Lubavitch Shaliach, emissary to Oxford, England, where he served as rabbi to Oxford University's students for 17 years. Why is this so important? It's so important because Menachem Mendel Schneerson was the seventh Rebbe. And from the beginning, when Shneur Zalman initiated the Chabad Lubavitch sect, he stated that the seventh Rebbe would be the final Rebbe, like the 7 days of creation, and then the Messiah, son of David, would be anointed, and he would be anointed by the seventh Rebbe and by the passing of the seventh Rebbe. Part of this Kabbalistic lure is that the Messiah, son of Joseph, would fight a world war and die in that world war, that his soul would then pass to Messiah, son of David, who would be the vessel for that soul. And like the caduceus serpents, which are now being represented by people making the heart sign, the two messiahs would unite. So in order for that to happen, the Rebbe has now passed. It is time for Messiah, son of David, to take his throne in Jerusalem. The Messiah, son of Joseph, has to bring us into a world war, which completely destroys humanity. So it is in the interest of Chabad Lubavitch to anoint this Messiah, son of Joseph, who will get us all killed off, and who is known in Christianity as the Antichrist. So I think it's quite legitimate to question what's going on here, and are we in danger? Robert F. Kennedy has used Rabbi Shmuley as his shield against accusations of anti-Semitism, and he is trotting out Shmuley and promoting Shmuley, who is promoted across the media and has been for decades now. He is closely aligning himself with Shmuley. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. fighting anti-Semitism, championing Israel. Should an American president be championing a foreign nation which is aligning itself with communist China and Soviet Russia against the United States, a foreign nation which has attacked the United States, a foreign nation which has taken United States military technology and transferred it to the enemies of the United States. Why should we have this man championing Israel? Is he another Jonathan Pollard, who is a traitor to the United States of America for the benefit of Israel? What are his impressions of Chabad, Lubavitch? Has he been involved with them ever since his father became intimately involved with the Rebbe? Kennedy has had a tweet storm, closely aligning himself as the champion of Israel and being related to Chabad Lubavitch through Rabbi Shmuley. What is going on? Biden administration extends U.S. habit of interfering in other countries' domestic politics. Why aren't you more concerned about Israel interfering in the domestic politics of the United States? Why aren't you more concerned about lobbyists closely affiliated to Israel interfering in the domestic politics of the United States? Mr. Kennedy, are you a traitor? Why are you in Putin's pocket? Why are you an apologist for Putin and Xi Jinping, who are closely aligned with Israel against the United States? Why are you an apologist for Putin's attack on Ukraine? Why are you trying to defeat America's efforts to defeat Putin? Why are you an apologist for Communist China's aggression against Taiwan? How are all of these things interrelated? Your family's ties to Chabad Lubavitch and to the Rebbe, your run for president of the United States, your apologetics for Putin and Xi Jinping. This could be potentially disastrous for the United States and for the world. Biden administration extends U.S. habit of interfering in other countries' domestic politics. Now it's threatening Israel with the ending of the special relationship between our two nations. Do you believe Israel is an ally of the United States? Can you point to a contractual alliance which has been ratified and signed by both nations? Why hasn't Israel supported the United States in its efforts to defeat Russia in Ukraine? As president, my support of Israel will be unconditional. That is a treasonous statement, Robert Kennedy. You are pledging allegiance to a foreign nation. What if the U.S. and Israel get into a hot war and you are the president and you have pledged your unconditional support for an enemy of the United States? You have officially, by your own declarations, pledged allegiance to a foreign, hostile nation of the United States of America, and you are closely tied to a messianic religious cult which believes it has the imperative to anoint the Messiah, son of Joseph, and the Messiah, son of David. To demonstrate further the extreme power that Chabad Lubavitch wields over international politics, Putin's rabbi is Berel Lazar. The Wikipedia page on Berel Lazar states, in September 2005, Lazar became a member of the Public Chamber of Russia. Because of his connections to Russian President Vladimir Putin, he is sometimes called Putin's rabbi. Benjamin Netanyahu is also closely affiliated with Chabad Lubavitch and was a personal protege of the Messiah, son of David, Menachem, Mendel, Schneerson. Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner visit Lubavitcher Rebbe's grave to pray for election victory. What business does Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner have praying to the Messiah, son of David, the Messiah, King of the Jews, which is a political term, when they want their father to become president of the United States? To whom do they hold loyalty? What do they want to happen to the United States? These are all prescient questions that we had better start answering, and we had better very closely investigate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s intimate ties to Chabad Lubavitch and question his loyalty to the United States of America and his support, unconditional support for Israel, his apologetics for Soviet Russia, his apologetics for communist China, and the fact that Netanyahu is abandoning any ties with the United States in favor of China and Russia, and the mythology that Israel is somehow an ally of the United States when no such treaty exists, and that Israel has always abandoned the United States in time of need and instead has abused the relationship it has with the United States to subvert our Congress and our nation, to receive billions of dollars in aid, to make us a pariah nation in the world, and to sick it on other nations in the Middle East to provide Israel with hegemony in the region. So please like, share, and subscribe. I'm going to be covering this issue very heavily in the future. I have been covering Chabad Lubavitch's influence on world politics for decades now, and I am the premier expert on that in the world. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.